Justice. Let's have a good look at it, dwell into it. And then visualize yourself being justice, sitting on that throne and holding the balance as well as the sword. And feel how that would feel to you. Would it make you change the decisions that you make? How well are you able to face up to the cold, hard light of the facts of the case? And then come out of the card, come out of your mind, and look at the card again and see if it resonates anymore. This is a card that's very much about the consequences of our actions. We can't get away from the consequences of our actions. If we eat something that's very bad for us, it may very well upset us, and if we do something that's wrong, there are karmic consequences. So this is very much about the consequences of our actions. And being blunt, the truth is very blunt. It just is. You can flower it and cloud it with your language and try and justify things your way, but in the end, at the end of the day, it is all about the truth of the matter. And very often in a tarot reading, you are faced with having to be very blunt to yourself and to the querent, perhaps a little bit more discreetly, but certainly about facing the truth of the situation. There's a sense of responsibility and fairness about this card as well. So it's about having things in balance. And whatever the outcome will be, it will be a fair outcome. It's worth bearing in mind that this card is not about punishment. So, consequences are not necessarily punishment. Everything in life has consequences. It can be an uncomfortable card to read. It certainly means that you have to do what's necessary. You have to face whatever the truth is, face the consequences, and deal with them. Let's look at the next card, the Hanged Man. A most unusual card containing a lot of symbolism that can be found in ancient mythologies. But have a good look at the card, the position particularly of the Hanged Man, and then close your eyes and imagine that you two are hanging from your foot, upside down. Do you feel restrained? Or does it feel liberating? And then come out of the card and have a look at it and see if you've gained any insight into this card. Clearly everything is upside down, everything is different, so there's a complete change in perspective. And although the person is bound by his foot, nothing else appears to be bound, and the smile on the Hanged Man's face, the implication that the person is enlightened, suggests that by changing our perspective, by letting go, by seeing things in a different way, we can become illuminated, we can receive enlightenment. It's about letting go of opinions, thoughts, beliefs that you have, a time of rest, reflection, a suspension of the moment to allow the answers to come to you from your insight and your intuition. It is definitely representing deep insight. Sometimes in order to gain understanding, we have to give something up, something has to go. So it's about opening yourself up to other perspectives, other solutions, other ideas, and however the insight is, whether it's a spiritual or an ordinary insight, it's certain that the Hanged Man represents a change in your life. Things will never be quite the same again. Let's go on to the next card, Death. Death is often a card that disturbs most people that don't know the tarot or aren't aware of the significance. It can be a little frightening to see in the spread for people who are unused to seeing the tarot card. So sit down, have a good dwell at it, have a good look at the symbolism within it, look at the people around Death, look at the background, look at the flag, look at what Death is wearing, how he is seated, and really draw all that imagery in, and then close your eyes and be in that card. You can choose to be Death itself and see how that makes you feel. This is a very significant card for meditation and can actually lead to really great insight if you spend time. But you could also choose to be one of the other people contained within the card and change and be a different person within the card and see if you can understand what that means to each of the individuals that are in the card. So have a good feel around that card in your mind and then come back and look at the card again with hopefully new insight. Death does represent change. However you look at it, it represents endings and beginnings. And yes, sometimes it does mean an actual death. It's rare that that actually means the person is going to die or it means an actual death of the physical life. It is much more likely to mean the ending and beginning of a phase in a person's life, a transition, a transformation. And how you approach death is very much how you approach change. So, if you look at the card, you'll see that a king is flawed by it because his authority is only in the physical world. So he has lost all his authority and is completely on the ground. A priest will perhaps supplicate death and ask for mercy. The young maiden who is just beginning to explore life doesn't quite want to embrace death, but the child who has no fear and no understanding of mortality embraces and opens its arms towards death. And death is often masked or covered because it is an unseen thing, and that is often what causes the fear. So it's very much about transformation, change, endings and new beginnings, and how people face this card tells you an awful lot about how they feel about change. But sometimes in order for something to begin, you have to say goodbye to something else. So although this may represent a change and that something has to go, it should represent a new beginning as well. Let's pick another card. Let's look at Temperance. Temperance shows an angel or a figure blending two cups with a liquid. Immerse yourself in that card. Have a good look at the imagery, the scenery, what the image is showing you, and then close your eyes and dwell on the image. Be that image. What are you actually doing? What are you trying to achieve? Is this something of a struggle for you, or is this something that is easy for you? And then open your eyes and look at the card again. Does this represent something that you are struggling to do? So is this a balance of opposites that you are trying to achieve and struggling with? Or does this represent a time where you are actually achieving a harmony by moving energies together? It's often called an alchemical card, and that represents the merging of two completely different liquids or metals to form something new. So very often, if you have a situation in your life, a challenge perhaps, turning it round into something positive is an alchemical transformation. So perhaps it can represent that something in your life has come towards you and you are changing what could at first appear to be a challenging circumstance to your benefit. That's an alchemical change. Maybe you have two particular camps in your life, choices, people, or two things pulling at you, and you are the one that is acting as the intermediary. Interestingly, in this card, there's often a rainbow or two mountains. There is clearly the image of two things coming together. Are you the one that is pulling them apart, or are you the one that's bringing them together? What do you think? You decide. What do you feel about this card when it comes up in a spread, or when it comes up for you? Maybe it's telling you that you need to be more harmonious with your life and be more in balance. Let's move on to the Devil. Have a good look at this card. It's often a disturbing card, often something that can be quite frightening to other people, but have a good look at it. How do you feel about it? Have a good look at the other people in the card. Where are they? What are they doing? Is this a card that looks frightening, happy, sad, trapped, vulnerable? Is it a harmonious card? Does it have energy, or is it static? Night, day, seasons, have a good look at everything. And then close your eyes and be in that card. How does that card make you feel? Is it oppressive? And then come out of that card and have a look at it again. This is clearly a card where the people that are chained below the Devil itself could easily slip the chains off. You can see that the chains are around their neck. They could slip off, but they choose not to. And very often, this is shown in a variety of different ways in other decks, but it is a very oppressive card. It's very much about being trapped, but we are the ones that go into this situation willingly. And it can often represent a variety of different things where people have gone into a marriage, a relationship, a job, maybe a house or a flat or something, some situation where they've ended up feeling trapped, that there is no hope, there is no way out, and they are feeling a need of suffering and oppression, and they can't move or feel free from it. And some people actually can live in this card for years and be almost martyred to their feelings of hopelessness and trapped. And it's important when this card comes up in a spread to be very, very aware that this is a choice that they have made, that you have made, and therefore there is no victim in it. The victim is only in your own mind, so that if you've gone into a situation willingly, you need to decide what is keeping you there and then feel very strong about the reason that's keeping you there, that it's a choice you're making rather than something that's trapping you. And if you do feel that it's a situation that you need to get out of for your own well-being and betterment, then obviously that's highlighting a situation that needs to change. But the feeling of hopelessness really is something that is flagged up with this card in order to advise yourself or people that you can change if you want to. So it's about knowing that these chains are ones that are forged yourself and that you alone can get out of them. So if you're the one that's perhaps gone to excess, maybe has too many partners or drinks too much or eats too much or has gone into a situation that is clearly making you feel overwhelmed, you yourself can get out of it. It's your choice. The next card is the Tower, and this too can be quite challenging for some people. They get quite alarmed when they see it. Have a good look at it. Have a look at the Tower. Have a look at the people in the card. Have a look at the lightning. Have a look at everything around it, and then close your eyes and go into the Tower. Feel what is happening to you as the Tower. Feel how uncomfortable or comfortable this makes you feel. Are you desperate for change, and this change is coming like a welcome breeze? or are you devastated by it? How solid are your structures? And then open your eyes and have another look at the card. This card really represents sudden change. It can be a change in just nothing more than your thinking, a pattern of belief. It can be a revelation or an understanding about you, your life, your work, people around you. But that understanding changes everything. It changes your perspective. Sometimes if we build a structure around us, either in our home or our work or in our patterns of belief, we can get quite rigid, and sometimes it needs something quite shocking to shake us out of it. Often this can come in a breakdown or a change of circumstance, for good or bad, and can be quite challenging at the time. But often when this card comes up in a spread, it represents that there is a need for change. So it's worth looking at that as an opportunity rather than something that's quite devastating, an opportunity to reevaluate your life and bring new things in that perhaps you weren't allowing before. Let's take the next card, the Star. This is a welcome card after the Tower and the Devil and Death, but many people love this card. It's a beautiful image. Have a good look at it. Look at the surroundings, look at what the person in the card is doing, and then close your eyes and go into that card and become that person and feel what you are doing. There is the image of a person pouring water out of 2 jugs, so there's very much a giving sensation into this. How does that feel for you? Do you have an inexhaustible supply? And what exactly is it that you are dispensing? And then come out of the card, have a look at it again. This is very much a card about hope and peace. It doesn't necessarily represent something happening straight away, because there's a gentleness about this card that means time is being taken for this to develop. But very much a card about hope, about peace, about healing, and about nourishment being offered to you at a time possibly when you need it most. This card is very much about giving and receiving, so it may be questioning you as to how much you are giving to others or whether you are receiving enough nurturing yourself. So question that, and question, if you're doing it for a reading, whether that person needs nurturing, needs hope, or whether they are the ones that need to dispense it to others. The astrological sign for this is Aquarius, and that's very much about the future, about looking at the bigger picture. And with all the stars in the sky, this is very much about connecting with cosmic consciousness, about things that relate to the greater things in life rather than the more personal, mundane, material things that we've come through with the Tower and the Devil and Death. This is much more rising above all that to a greater connection. Let's look at the next card, the Moon. This is often quite a disturbing card. It can be very evocative. People can be drawn to it or repelled by it. Have a good look at it. Look at the imagery. There's often water in this card, creatures. Look at where they are within the card. There's an implication of a journey, as there's a path that lies ahead, lit up by the light of the moon. Maybe your own feelings towards moonlight and moon energy itself may be evoked by this card, but have a good look at it, draw in all the colouring, all the symbolism, and then close your eyes and be in that card, be in that landscape. Feel the light of the moon upon you. How does that make you feel? Are you one of the creatures? Do you feel you are distracted by the light of the moon, or that the moon is helping you? Really connect with that card, and then when you open your eyes and you have another look at it, question how well this moonlight is guiding you. Because this card can represent two completely different things. It can be the ability to connect with your psychic or subconscious self and that deep intuition that we are trying to connect with today. But it can also represent how easily it is to be deluded. This can be a very self-deceptive card. So as well as connecting with your intuition, you do need to be aware that you're not running away with yourself, that you're not deliberately trying to imagine things. And often when this comes up in a spread, it can represent a person who would like something to be a certain way, or is being deceived by people, or maybe is even deceiving themselves. But it can also mean connecting with the greater subconscious. So it can be a time where there can be great creativity and insight, and above all, it's a time of trusting your intuition. Be aware at this time of any dreams that you might have as well, because your dream world can be very significant, particularly any messages that you may get into your dreams. So for you or for the person you're reading for, do be aware of any dreams. Perhaps ask them if they're having any significant dreams at the moment, and if it's for you, be aware of your dreams. Let's go to the next card, the Sun, the opposite to the Moon. Have a look at this card. This is usually quite an easy and joyful experience for most people. It's a very happy card. Feel all the warmth from that lovely sun. Really go into it with the colours. Look at the child, look at the creature, look at the flowers, look at the background, and then put yourself in that picture anywhere you like and experience the warmth of a sunny day. And then when you open your eyes, Have a good look and think about what that might feel to you as an answer to a question that you might ask or in a reading. It certainly represents all the things that are very obvious, such as joy and happiness, a sense of well-being. There's also health, great health, a healthy outlook, maybe not just necessarily of physical health, and also good luck, maybe something that is going your way now. Maybe it's just a moment where everything is coming together and everything is going to be all right. If a person or you yourself have come through a difficult time, this would represent the light on the horizon. And it's also about sharing that happiness. Often when the heart is open and there's that sense of happiness and love, it's automatically shared. It opens up our hearts to all sorts of other opportunities. So if it comes up as advice, maybe it's suggesting that you are like the child on the horse and you open your arms to all experiences with a childlike enthusiasm and embrace all that life has to offer and make the most of the moment and be happy. Let's go to the next card, Judgment. Have a good look at the imagery. See all the people within it, where they are, what they're doing, the greater figure in the sky, the angelic figure in the trumpet, and then close your eyes and go into that landscape. Either you're the angel or maybe you're the people underneath. And how does that feel to you? What do you think is happening in this card? So put aside anything you've read and really feel your connection to this card. Do you think this is an ending, a beginning? The card itself is called Judgment. Do you think this is a card where someone or something is sitting in judgment? Does that feel comfortable to you? And then come out of the card and open your eyes and have a look at the card again. This card does represent a new beginning, but it does also represent a new beginning coming from dealing with the consequences of the past. So it's very much about letting go of the past. You can see the people there that are rising out of their coffins, so it represents a time where you have been locked into patterns of behavior or thoughts have dragged you back, or something that's happened, consequences of something that has happened in your past have held you back. And the trumpet call is an awakening to a new life and a new beginning. Sometimes when it's read, it can mean decisions that need to be made that can be quite difficult to deal with. And maybe this is a hard time for you to make the decisions that you have to make. And let go of the past, the bad habits, the relationships, anything that we've held on to that we really need to let go of. Just let them all go, heal yourself and move on for a new beginning. And let's go on to the last card in the Major Arcana, the World. Have a good look at the figure, what's around the figure, the images around the figure. Draw it all in, look at the colour, and then close your eyes and become that figure. Do you feel liberated? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you uncomfortable? Does this represent travel of an inner nature or an outer nature? Do you feel connected or disconnected? Ask yourself all these things, and then when you've dwelt on the card for a time, open your eyes. And let's have a look at the world. It really contains everything that we've looked at. It represents a completion of a whole cycle. It's an opportunity to connect with all sorts of opportunities that are opening up to you right now. And there's a sense of completion because we started off with 0, with the Fool, which was a beginning and a leap of faith and that leap into the unknown. And the world has travelled through all these different aspects within the Major Arcana and has ended up here with complete understanding and ability. She's got wands in both hands, so she has got the power, she's got the understanding, she's got the ability to take advantage of anything that comes her way. She's often known as the world dancer. There's a sense of exhilaration and liberation there. And the fact that she's in a circle that represents rebirth and conclusion is very much about a new beginning and an opportunity around you. You've got the 4 elements around the world, so that shows that there are all sorts of possibilities. So this is a whole card that represents completion, perfection, and happiness. Enjoy it.